missing someone.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Liana Nadira binti Muhammad Asmadi. As a first presenter, we will present about spiritual tourism. So, let's start with the introduction first. In the modern era, with an increased number of tourists globally, there is an increased demand for spiritual tourism every year. Spiritual tourism is part of cultural tourism. Spiritual tourism is not related to any particular religion. It can be any religion that the individual believes in. Spiritual tourism aims to link your body, mind, and soul, thus give information and entertainment for visitors. It also offers education as visitors learn many new things during spiritual tourism, such as their related arts, food, and architecture. In addition, spiritual tourism can be defined as traveling on pilgrimage to acquire enlightenment, entertainment, and education, to leave your footprints and take your memories back to your home by expressing your gratitude to God. People travel to religious places, for example, their purpose is to increase their awareness and faith in God.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. I'm Nudafina Arifah binti Abu Hanifah, and I will continue this presentation on the current trends of spiritual tourism. Nowadays, it is stated in a research that people have been taken interest in the spiritual tourism destinations, and the evolution and growth have been significantly noticeable. Spiritual potential has been rediscovered in specific global destinations, where a sort of spiritual magnetism exists due to the influence of attractions related to historical, geographical, social aspects, and human values. However, as we all know, the whole world is affected by the global pandemic, which is the spread of coronavirus, or known as the COVID-19. This virus is fatal as it affected the respiratory system. The number of cases keep on increasing each and every day, as well as the number of fatalities that forced the World Health Organization to declare it as global pandemic. This situation forced the government to stop a lot of sectors in order to curb the virus from spreading, including the tourism and hospitality sector. Because of that, the spiritual destinations all around the world also become deserted because of the preventive measures, such as the closing of borders and the need to stay at home, since the virus can be easily spread in the air. For example, we choose Europe and India as one of the main spiritual destinations that are well known across the globe. Because of the virus, the Catholic pilgrimage centers in Europe during the first 6 months of the pandemic is already badly affected. For example, the largest Catholic shrines, Santiago de Compostela, Lourdes, and Guadalupe are affected when the number of visitors keep on declining. These shrines are visited by 80 countries from all over the world, but then because of the pandemic, they cannot witness these magnificent buildings. So as we can see from table 1 in this slide, it is shown the differences between the number of visitors to selected sanctuaries in Europe during the year of 2019 and 2020. There's a significant difference between the number of visitors in 2019 and 2020, which is the number of visitors keep on declining. Next, let us take a look at the impact of COVID on pilgrimage and religious tourism in India. As we all know, India is a land of mysticism because of its reputation as a nation of spiritual enlightenment, and the spiritual travel has been explored for years by the earlier generations. However, just as the same as another countries, India also faced the same situation as Europe, when the government have chosen to shut all major religious tourist sites such as Siddhivinayak Temple and Vaishno Devi that forced people to postpone their trips and resulting in a reduction of trade, not to mention that several festivities need to be cancelled in order to prevent mass gatherings. However, after people got their vaccinations jab, the tourism sectors are being allowed to be operated again. It is so saddening when during the COVID, lots of people lost their jobs and their loved ones. Therefore, according to Chaturvedi in an online article, during the lost pandemic world, most people would sought the spiritual tourism to just be able to with mindfulness and spirituality in their life after a roller coaster ride of emotional stability because of the virus. Okay, now let us move on to the marketing of spiritual tourism and the main target groups of this particular sector, which can be categorized into two groups, which are the believers and non-believers. Okay, now let us take a look on the first group, which is the believers. The believers seek spiritual guidance or affirmation because of their religious convictions, and they frequently would go on pilgrimage for religious or worship reasons. For example, the Hajj to Mecca for the Muslims, or to Jerusalem or the Vatican for the Christians, and also the Buddhists to Bodh Gaya. As for non-believers, they would usually drawn to sacred sites not for religious meaning, but for their cultural relevance, architectural significance, aesthetic attractiveness, or even the historical significance. For non-believers, they are seeking self-improvement through travel to religious sites. However, it may require special cuisine design to provide a spiritual experience with the destination.
Challenges that faced by spiritual tourism. One of them is lack of infrastructure. Tourism carrying capacity is defined by the United Nations World Tourism Organization as the maximum number of people that can visit a tourist destination at the same time without causing damage to the physical, economic, social-cultural environment, or an unacceptable decrease in visitor satisfaction. Infrastructure is essential to accommodate the growing capacity of tourists while maintaining the originality of the place. According to Tarun Gupta and Dr. Dheeraj Gandhi in 2018, infrastructure requirements for travel and tourism range from physical infrastructure such as modes of transportation to urban infrastructure such as access roads, electricity, water supply, and many more.
Now we move to second challenge of spiritual tourism, which is disease and virus. Every year, people will visit their religious site in order to perform their respective religious events. For example, for Muslim people will visit Mecca to perform their Hajj. Christian belief will visit the holy sites located at around the Sea of Galilee, while Hindu belief will visit their holy site at India, and so for other religions. They will visit the holy places with many more people from all of the world. The report journal written by Orna Nizan et al. 2017 stated that some will become sick during their stay with infectious disease that were acquired in their country of origin or from the country they are staying. The common infection of disease that tends to get by the spiritual traveler is diarrheal disease. Diarrheal disease are acquired by consuming contaminated water and food. The common disease among the tourists is malaria, dengue fever, typhoid fever, parasitic infection, and the newest one is coronavirus.
As for the issue of lack of infrastructure, we recommend that the infrastructure must be improved. The infrastructure of a tourist area needs to be maintained and fixed to meet the expectation of tourists. Improve existing equipment and increase the facilities. Infrastructure to be built should be planned and possible, and research to not pollute the environment. Tourism infrastructure includes transportation by air, sea or land, accommodation, road use, electricity and others important to tourists. Developers or people who in charge of tourist area must be sensitive in ensuring that tourists get to enjoy their vacation well as a good experience.
Next recommendation is to get a health screening. Tourist infectious diseases are frequently difficult to diagnose and frequently necessitate evaluation by specialists. Hence, these tourist-related diseases can be reduced by treating and preventing them. There are many preventive measures for the disease, such as getting a complete vaccination before traveling in order to protect themselves and everyone. Next, tourists also need to be advised to limit themselves or avoid being exposed to the area at high risk for the spread of disease outbreaks. For example, in this pandemic season, we are more vulnerable to virus if we are not careful. As a precautionary measure, all tourists are now required to wear a face mask and disinfect their hands regularly.
In conclusion, spiritual tourism in Malaysia has provided consistent growth in domestic product. For example, religious tourism becomes the main attraction based on faith travel. In addition, this travel trend is increasingly demanded by Muslim society, especially from the Malay population. In this case, Muslims that afford to perform Haji in Mecca by using travel and tour agency. Indirectly, the travel agents will profit from it by managing and assisting pilgrims who visit holy places like Mecca on an annual basis. From an economic perspective, we can conclude that the development of spiritual tourism is like other tourism markets, potentially increasing the flow of new money into a destination, helping to create jobs, and encouraging entrepreneurships in destinations that provide to spiritual tourists. Furthermore, spiritual tourism also helps to spread a positive impact on restorations and preservation, environmental protection, and enhancing the heritage and living culture. That's all from us. Thank you.